McGregor has always been a polarizing figure in UFC and has said some controversial things, but now he claims he knew his leg was compromised before the Poirier fight. Ex-UFC fighter Luis Pena has found himself in trouble with the law yet again, and Bryce Mitchell seems to think he's close to a UFC title shot. First, let's start with the fact that McGregor knew his leg was compromised. Conor McGregor has no doubt been one of the most interesting and polarizing figures in MMA, and he just keeps getting his name in the news. This time, it's in response to his loss in his recent bout against Dustin Poirier. In a series of tweets, McGregor talks about how he knew his leg was compromised before the fight, which I'm sure is no surprise to anybody who saw the brutal break in the ring during the bout. On Wednesday, he tweeted, "In my last camp, I had a severely damaged left leg. Many of my sessions consisted of starting an open guard bottom and staying there, full rounds remaining on bottom. I was beating people up until they backed away from me. It then translated to the fight. True story." According to him, the break happened in the exact spot where he already identified a problem during training, hence his seemingly calm demeanor for a man who had just had his leg broken in front of an arena of viewers. "Same leg, same spot," he said. Seems he already knew before the fight that this was possibly gonna happen, and it was just a matter of time before his brutal training regimen caught up with him. Next is that Luis Pena was arrested. Luis Pena is no stranger to criminal offenses and has been arrested on multiple occasions, with his most recent arrest coming just a few days ago. The ex-UFC fighter is currently facing charges for battery, domestic violence battery, criminal mischief, and battery causing bodily harm. All very serious charges stacked against him, and giving his seemingly extensive criminal record. The Broward County Sheriff's Office set his bail to $6,000, and all of his charges are still pending. This is the third incident this year, the first being from an altercation he had with his girlfriend in June, where he got charged with robbery by sudden snatching, criminal mischief, and battery. His next arrest would reach him in October, where he was charged for domestic violence and battery against the same woman as the previous arrest, where he was accused of striking her multiple times with a closed fist, then striking another woman who tried to intervene. After that second arrest, Pena was released by the UFC for obvious reasons. Yet, even that wasn't enough for him to change the way he was acting. How about Bryce Mitchell returning? Bryce Mitchell seems to think he's ready to resume his UFC title chase, and he's coming back with a vengeance. Mitchell has been out of action since late 2020 when he broke his hand in a bout against Andre Fili. He explained for about 4 months he couldn't even carry his own groceries because his hand was so badly damaged in the fight, and it was still rehabilitating. But now things have changed and he's ready to get back into the octagon. He described his experience at the time in an interview where he said, "I was training with one hand, but it's not the same obviously. So I had to heal that hand up, and then it took quite a bit of months after that before I could start using the hand, and then I'm comfortable hitting with it, but everything seems to be back to normal now. So I'm not really worried about it at all." Mitchell's personality was a real selling point for him during his career, and he's currently 5-0 fighting over 2019 to 2020. 2021, however, has not been so kind to Mitchell, who's glad to see the back end of it and get back into the octagon. But out of this boredom he experienced, he did manage to create a 7-track mixtape under his rap name Thug Nasty. The tape is expected to drop on his YouTube channel soon, but since his recovery, it seems fighting will be his focus once again. Colby Covington wants to fight the participation trophy winner Khamzat Chimaev. Colby Covington is trying to create a name for himself once again after his loss to Kamaru Usman at UFC 268, and is ready to bounce back and come back stronger than ever, even picking a fight with one of the most discussed up-and-comers in modern UFC. Covington lost during November's pay-per-view sold-out Madison Square Garden event to a unanimous decision in an incredibly closely contested rematch. He believes he should have been awarded at least 3 of the rounds, but is ready to bounce back and work for his title. In order to do that, he feels he needs to fight anybody, even Khamzat Chimaev, who is currently undefeated. Speaking to MMA Fighting, he said, "He's a joke. He needs to beat someone worthy, someone in the top 5, someone in the top of the rankings, not just fight hand-picked people." And he seems to think Chimaev is being rushed into his position. He followed up with, "But if you guys want to rush a guy, take some time off of his life and send him for a hospital treatment." Then, yeah, the door is open for that. I love doing good business, and I love doing business with the UFC. That's some serious fighting talk, and this bout could get Covington back some respect that he lost after his last bout. It's important to know that Chimaev came into the scene and collected 4 octagon wins, all finishes with some pretty spectacular statistics. Covington would have to work hard for this, but it could be his way back into the scene. Francis Ngannou thinks he was set up. Francis Ngannou was caught up in controversy recently when a cold backstage interaction he was involved in became a viral hit, where he seemingly snubbed his former teammate Cyril Gane. Ngannou and Gane are going to be fighting at UFC 270, and Ngannou seems to think this whole shot was a setup to make it look as if there were bad blood between the pair. The clip looks far too perfect to be coincidental, and is almost at WWE levels of dramatic, stirring up emotions from both fighters and the audience watching their fight approach. That's exactly what the UFC was waiting for. When you look at that video, they were waiting for me around the corner, Ngannou said in a video posted to Daniel Cormier's YouTube channel. He went on to explain the real events that happened backstage. It's not like they wanted the story, the bad blood. They created that scene. What happened is there was this lady taking us to our seat, my manager Markel Martin and I, and she was bringing us to this section, and then they talked to her over the radio. Then she was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm wrong." So she turned around and we got back, and they were there. Ngannou doesn't think this was a coincidence at all, and explains that by the time this happened, there was already somebody waiting for him with a camera. Maybe this backstage beef wasn't such a fortunate catch after all, and had more to do with the producers looking for engagement than Ngannou Ngannou looking to antagonize his former teammate. Dan Hooker may be dropping in a weight category. Dan Hooker has been a lightweight fighter for a while now, but has always been adamant that if he wanted to return to featherweight, he absolutely could make the weight. And for all those that doubted him, he's now seemingly proven himself in a Twitter video where he weighs in at 145.9 pounds on the scales. "I made the weight," Hooker said. "That wasn't for me. I know I can make the weight. That's to try to convince a few people that need convincing. Obviously, my coaches were not that keen on me going back to 45, but that's me stepping on the scale and making it look pretty easy, if I'm being honest." Hooker even claims that he cut to this weight starting at the same weight he would if he were to cut for his lightweight bouts. He didn't specify his typical starting weight, but explained that getting down to 155 usually takes a week of dieting and some sauna time, whereas 145 is a different story. To cut to 145, that takes a stricter diet and more complicated procedure to cut the weight. His surroundings are also beneficial as he's currently in Las Vegas with his family, which is also where the UFC Performance Institute is. These facilities no doubt make this cut much easier for Hooker as he has easy access to all the best possible equipment, a far cry from what he was used to in the past years. No official outlets have confirmed anything, but Hooker has made it clear that if the opportunity did come along, he'd have no issue dropping to featherweight. While he knows his team wouldn't be too happy with his cut, Hooker has lost 3 of the 4 lightweight bouts he's fought in, so it seems he's canvassing his options. Well, that's it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe to us to keep up to date with more MMA news and updates.